Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we're going to do another writing check. As always, we start by checking out the question. When we read the question, we want to try to understand what kind of question is being asked. We know in IELTS there are different kinds of IELTS questions. Discuss both views, advantages and disadvantages, causes and solutions. And from this, we will also try to understand the structure that we need for our essay. So let's have a look at this question then. Some people believe that there should be fixed punishments. Fixed punishments. What exactly is a fixed punishment? Well, let's read on. There should be fixed punishments for each type of crime. Okay, so for example, a type of crime might be murder. And so this idea is that if somebody murders somebody, they should go to prison for 20 years. And maybe stealing something. If somebody steals something, they should go to prison for 5 years, for example. Others, however, argue that the circumstances of an individual crime and the motivation for committing it should always be taken into account when deciding on a punishment. So, 2 points of view. One says, well, no matter what, if you murder someone, you go to prison for 20 years. If you steal something, you go to prison for 5 years. Then there's a second group of people that say, well, no, maybe if you steal something, but you're stealing it because you need to feed your children, then this punishment should be less than, for example, somebody who's stealing something because, they just want to steal something. So those are the two different points of views, and the question is discuss both these views and give your own opinion. So a classic IELTS question, very standard balanced essay type of question. In the introduction, what do we want? Well, I like to have a bit of background information about the subject. Here the subject is crime and punishment, specifically punishments. Then some reference to the question, some paraphrase, that there is a debate between these two different groups of people. Some thesis statement to say, like in this essay, I will explore both of these points of view. And also in the introduction, I want to see the candidate's position. I want to know if the candidate is in favour of fixed punishments or in favour of different punishments. But in the introduction, I don't need to know the reason why the candidate believes this. We'll save that for the body paragraphs. Then quite easy, body paragraph 1 would be reasons why some people think fixed punishments are better. Body paragraph 2, reasons why some people believe circumstances and motivation should be considered. And then in the conclusion, this is where you can summarize the ideas quickly and give your own opinion and explain why you are convinced by one side, not the other side. Okay, so 4 paragraphs, very straightforward. Let's have a look at the candidate's writing. Okay, so first I just want to check the number of paragraphs. We get paragraph 1, 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4. Great. So 4 paragraphs, the introduction and the conclusion are about the same size. The body paragraphs are about the same size. So we have good balance. The only thing I would say is there seem to be quite a lot of words. You should write at least 250 words for this task. But I really don't think candidates should go over 300. I think, if you're 305, 306, 307, fine. This candidate has 333 words, which, it's not terrible. It's okay. But again, give yourself a break. If it says, write at least 250 words, give yourself a ceiling of 300 words and learn and practice how to write more concisely, how to write this task in 300 words. You don't want to waste, you might not have that much time. After you've done your writing task 1, you might not have enough time to write 300 words. But okay, let's have a look at the writing itself then. So there is an ongoing debate about the implication of deciding punishments for criminals. So, straightforward ideas. That's what we want. That's what examiners want. When they read an essay, they want to read it and understand it. And immediately debate about the implication of deciding punishments for criminals. I don't know what that means. Ongoing debate I like, but debate about the implication of deciding punishments for criminals. Well, it's not about the implications of that. It's just about the suitability or the appropriacy or the fairness. So, kind of a strange bit of wording. Cool, I like this. While, with some subordination, while some argue that individuals should get fixed punishments, it's not that individuals should get fixed punishments for their types of crimes. It sounds strange. You know, fixed punishments should be given for certain types of crimes. But okay. I believe that the motivations and circumstances, we could try to just paraphrase this. Motivation, circumstances, the reasons why people commit these crimes should be taken into consideration. So, you could paraphrase these words. Okay, into is one word, so that's a mistake. Should be taken into account. I like this. Should be taken into account. We get a passive modal, well, passive infinitive after the modal, should be taken, and also beautiful, take something into account. So candidate demonstrates very good language here when giving judgments. Giving judgments, okay, passing judgments also works, or passing judgment, as each crime has its own reason and background. I don't like this thing. You don't need to give your reasons for your belief here. Save that for the conclusion, save that for the body paragraphs. But okay, the introduction does its job. We get, some reference to the question. We see the candidate's position. Some of the wording is a little bit strange, but candidate also demonstrates some good vocab, some good grammar. To begin with, nice signposting language. The examiner immediately understands now. Okay, to begin with, proponents of. I like this. Proponents of. Proponents of demanding. I don't know that. Proponents of demanding. Yeah, maybe it's okay. Demanding fixed punishments, contend that. I like this, very academic in style. Contend that by giving punishments, I like this, how by giving punishments, very natural. On the basis of, okay, candidate is showing a really good awareness of style and collocation. Punishments on the basis of rigid rules, nice. Will make the judgment more fair. More fair is okay. I think fairer is the better comparative form. But okay. The judgment more fair and free from any kind of biases. Nice. Nice spelling with that ES at the end. Really, not many people get that, like crisis, crises, biases, biases. Nice. For instance, in Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia, I don't think we need this. Just a comma is fine here. Yeah, just put a comma. We have a mistake with Arabia, which is disappointing. I would expect you to find that when you're checking your work. We don't want to have typos. They're not the end of the world, but, take some care, correct your work, find that type of mistake. For instance, in Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia, comma, they have the most strict, again, the strictest is probably the better superlative form. It's not a huge problem, but the strictest regulations compared to any other countries. Okay, but regulations about what? Regulations about trade, about, what do you mean here when you say regulations? So not sure where you're going with regulations. Just like in their country, whose country? I don't know who their talks about here. If someone gets caught stealing, okay, a little bit informal with gets caught stealing, but I do like the passive here. If someone gets caught stealing, they will face amputation as a form of punishment. And again, comma is better. Without knowing their reasons or background. and again, it's unclear here who does the knowing, because it sounds like, they is the person who commits the crime without knowing they. Well, the person won't know they. So this is kind of an ambiguous, a strange reference here, because this verb know sounds like it refers to they, but it doesn't. Know refers to the people passing the judgment. So there's a little bit of confusion there. Okay, they, but again, we're going with they, and I'm not sure who they is here. If you're not sure, just use it is believed instead of they believe. So who are they? The Saudis or the Saudi authorities, or who? They believe that these kinds of strictness. Well, strictness. I don't know kinds of strictness. This kind of strictness, maybe, or just this strictness, but not these kinds. This kind of strictness, and again, helps, but okay, they have a head noun as kinds, help to make the judgment, cool, help somebody, or help to do something, help to make the judgment most fair. Okay, you're just repeating ideas now. You've said here more fair, most fair, and equal for everyone. However, I do not agree. Okay, you can put your opinion at the end, but I just think opinion is better in the conclusion. Save this, take this out, make your writing a bit shorter, and go straight to the next paragraph. I think that would be the best thing to do here. But anyway, however, I do not agree with these kinds of rigid rules of punishments as making a decision or making decisions, but not making decision. Without knowing the background of the crime is not considered justice for me. Okay, we kind of know that. But okay, so I feel like this stuff, you could just take this out, save it for the conclusion. On the other hand, cool, nice signposting language again. On the other hand, some individuals believe in making judgments with knowing the contexts. This is just a bit strange. Maybe, yeah. Making judgments based on the context, perhaps, of crimes. And I support this view because every crime has different background. Again, background is a single accountable noun. So has a different background or has different backgrounds. So candidate really shows a lack of awareness either of articles or of nouns. Just for an example, so this doesn't feel very academic. Just for an example, sounds fine in speech, but for example is fine. For example, if someone who killed a person for his own benefits, and why the gendered language with his, their own benefits is probably better, but okay, his own benefits, and someone who murdered a person for protecting her dignity. Now we've gone with her. Strange gendered pronouns here. Does they deserve... Oh, this is a problem. Does they... Maybe the candidate knows that, we use do they. Does he? Does she? But do they? Do they deserve equal punishment for their crimes? I know some places say it's okay to ask a question in an essay. I don't like it. I think in an academic essay, we want to... it's not a magazine article. You're not talking directly to the reader here. You're not like, hey, do you want to lose weight? Well, why don't you check out some of these ideas? This is an academic essay. So, maybe something like it is unreasonable to believe that they deserve equal punishment for their crimes, right? From my perspective, again, we still get a lot of personal language. I prefer the personal language in the conclusion, not the body paragraphs. I think you should spend your body paragraphs focusing not on you. Your body paragraphs here, because it's a discuss both sides essay, discuss both these views, you should spend your body paragraphs discussing both of those views, not using personal language. Let the personal stuff come in the conclusion. But okay, from my perspective, I do not count them equally. For me, okay, it should be full stop for me. For me, killing someone for protecting anyone is not as much as killing, is not the same as, is not as serious as, is not as harmful, is not as problematic, but not as much. It's not about quantity here. and also killing someone for protecting anyone. So this stuff is just a little bit weak. Therefore, I believe, and again, just full of this, most of the stuff here is the candidate's opinion. All of that is the candidate's opinion. That's more than half of the body paragraph. You should be spending your body paragraphs, spending your time here exploring the different points of view without talking so much about yourself. Okay. Therefore, I believe the context of the crime is much important. What does it mean, is much important? I know what more important means. I know what much more important means. I don't know what much important means. Using much before an adjective, much before a comparative adjective, much more important, that's fine. Is much important or is very important, maybe, when deciding a punishment for anyone by taking into account okay, we're just repeating language, so candidate seems like they don't have ideas. They mentioned that in the introduction, and now they're just mentioning again, it's not fair, you have to take into account the circumstances. So a bit of repetition of ideas. Yeah. In conclusion, good signposting language. Although making fixed judgments on the basis of the types of crimes will arguably make the judgments, candidate spells judgments in two different ways, I noticed. They have this judgments here with the E, and I believe they had judgments here without the E. Now, both spellings are acceptable. One spelling is more common, I guess, in American English. I think in British English we use the E, and I think in American English they don't use the E, but I'm not sure. I use both. But certainly if I was writing an essay, I'd want to be consistent. So just choose one. They're both spelled correctly, but just choose one and stick with it. Okay. We'll make the judgments equal for anyone. I guess everyone you mean here? I believe taking consider. What does it mean, taking consider? No idea what that means. Considering, maybe. Considering the motivations and backgrounds in deciding punishments will make the judgments more justiciable. Justiciable. Never heard that word. I don't know if it exists in a dictionary, but it seems strange to me. More just, perhaps. But again, we just have repeating the idea. So you repeat the idea many, many times that taking into account the circumstances and motivation makes it more rightful, makes it more justiciable. So you just repeat your ideas a lot. So I can't really say that I'm fully informed here because you don't explore and develop the ideas, you just repeat the ideas. So just going into some rough scores here. So for task response, I'm going to give a 5. Now, this might seem a little bit harsh, but I'm going to give a 5 just because so many of the body paragraph, both of the body paragraphs are filled with, I believe, personal language, and I just don't want that personal stuff in the body paragraphs. Now, it's not a major issue. The bigger issue is the lack of development of ideas where you just have to repeat your ideas. So I kind of get the idea on a very basic level. You've explained your basic idea. The positives of fixed punishments is that it's fair for everyone, but the downside is that, not all types of murder are the same. So we should take that into consideration. You do develop a little bit, but yeah, too much repetition and too much personal language in the body paragraphs for me. So I'm going to be harsh and say 5, but it's possible an examiner might give 6. Coherence and cohesion. I'm going to give 6 for this. So there are, the paragraph structure is suitable. We have an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. We get lots of nice signposting language in conclusion. On the other hand, to begin with, so all of that good stuff. While as a contraster, good discourse markers or cohesive devices, good signposting language, but there are some dodgy reference, like this overuse of they. You kind of get lost reading this. Some things read a little bit strange too. Let's find it. Yeah, killing someone for protecting anyone is not as much killing someone for anyone's benefit. So, this is potentially grammar, potentially vocab, but also there is a coherence issue here where just don't quite get the point that you're saying. Yeah. So for me, 6. Lexical resource. Lexical resource, I think we can award the 7. There are some strange choices in there. Justiciable, I'm not sure. Rightful, for me, isn't the right word here. You mix up a bit of anyone and everyone sometimes. Some of the language is a little bit inappropriate for academic, like just for an example. But I do think you have enough positive language, like should be taken into account. That's both grammar and vocab. Cool. Yeah, on the basis of, I contend that. So, you do have enough vocab in there. Dignity, protecting her dignity, deserve equal punishment. So, yeah, there is enough natural language in there. And I think grammatical range and accuracy, despite some problems with articles, with singular and plural nouns, I do think you have. I'm going to give a 6 here. There are some parts that are strange, like taking consider. That puts a big strain on the reader. Reading that, you have to reread it. There are some mistakes where, you don't have to, like strictest or most strict, or fairer or more fair. Those type of little mistakes, who cares about them? But then other mistakes with grammar, like I believe taking consider, and I believe the context of the crime is much important when much important? Do you mean very important or more important? So there are some grammar mistakes that affect the reader's overall comprehension of the text. And for that reason, I'll give it a 6, which means overall, the score is 6.0. I think that is a fair reflection, right in the middle of upper intermediate. Candidate demonstrates really good stuff with lexical resource, grammatical range, and accuracy. Like with many candidates, I think academic skills can be improved here. The coherence and cohesion, the structure and the signposting language, that's good. But the task response, generating those ideas, thinking about those ideas, putting them forward clearly, knowing where you should use personal language and where you should use impersonal language, knowing what it means to develop an idea without repeating ideas, that is definitely something that you can work on. I do think the candidate has the potential to get possibly a band 7 for writing, but more likely it will be 6.0 or 6.5. Yeah, so I guess I will leave that there. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of this candidate's speaking. Sorry, not speaking, writing. But I do free IELTS speaking tests, and I do free IELTS writing checks. You can request this in my Telegram channel, Expert Examiner. A link to this is given in the description. If you like my content, please do subscribe. I think about 60% of the people who watch my videos don't subscribe. I'm on 1.8 thousand subscribers at the moment, so trying to grow, trying to make these videos a little bit more beautiful. Yeah, if you have any comments, please do leave them below. But I will see you all very, very soon. Bye for now.